And we're live. Thank you for joining me. I just thought I'd pop on really to, as I'd said on Instagram, that I'd make an explanation of what I've been doing this past year with the path that I am. And also for those that want to check this out for yourself, which I highly recommend you do, how to do that. So I'm going to share my screen with you in a moment. So just prior to that, I want to speak a little bit about my own journey with the path that I am, and how it relates to me and how it might relate to you in my journey. So first off, I kind of have to explain why I was attracted to and what drew me to this. First time I heard of the words I am was with Wayne Dyer talking about the I am and affirmations. So that's how it was first introduced to me, and this sense of who we are and what we say in our words. So that I am presence, moving into how we want to become. So that was my first experience of that I am. And I'm going to jump back to a younger me, 17, 18, maybe 21, even around that sort of those sort of late teens, early 20s. I can't remember exactly, but I had a dream. And in the dream, there was a woman who was, I thought at the time, myself, or an aspect of myself, or a past life, or whatever. The dream had sort of multiple meanings of what was shown to me. This young lady, she was arguing with her lover at the time in a really ancient culture. For me, that was Atlantis. I'd had this drawings to the teachings of Atlantis, this feeling or affinity, interest, whatever you want to call it, any information about ancient cultures I was drawn to anyway. And for want of a better word, so she was arguing with her partner, and he was saying, or her lover was saying, you need to go, we know it's coming. And she was saying, I can't go, I have to stay, I must be here for this time, it's really important. And there was a deep love of a respect for man, and at the time I assumed was her father, but I think now in hindsight that this person was her teacher, her master. She was a young priestess, and I say she rather than I because when we refer to the Akashic, or information that comes through that appears to be past lives, we're picking up on information that's in the subconscious collective consciousness that once was. And that information may be shown to us through the eyes of what could be ours and that we're living and very real experience. However, that experience is information, that's data that's coming through. And generally, what I found in my life and through this path is that I'd had things shown to me from other lives that are relevant very much to, which is why they're shown in this life now. So the situation it was related to love at the time. However, that information from then was still relevant and still was like a piece of a puzzle that I've been putting together in my own remembering. So this argument continued, and she was saying, I can't, I have to stay. And he was saying, but it's getting closer. And there was an understanding that they knew that things were coming to an end, and that it was my duty to stay. I say my or her, the duty of this young soul to stay, to hold frequency and hold vibration. And in my understanding of now how things work, in subsequent later blogs I'll go into that more, but she felt like she needed to stay. It was her job to stay, it was her duty to stay, and out of love. And she had no fear of dying. And that was a very strong thing. And then it jumped forward to when she was in a temple, holding a meditation, holding in a deep meditation. And I can go into the imagery of how above was a skylight, very circulative, but where water then rushed in, melt water, very cold, very icy. And the next image that was shown to me was underwater of her, and she looked very ethereal, like with the robes that she was wearing and all floaty like. And she was saying to me personally, this was my task, it's not yours. This was my duty, it's not yours. And I then, at that time, being who I was, as I said, I was a young 17-year-old, was looking up the dream symbolization. I knew it was very significant, and it stuck deeply in my memory. And obviously I'm remembering now with other subsequent memories that's more pieces to the puzzle. But at the time, I was looking up the significance of being washed away in oceans and overwhelmment, and all the significance of this within my relationship at the time, and not allowing my emotions to overwhelm me, this whether I needed to be with the partner, and that was relevant to my life at that moment. However, how that relates to my path was this spark within me of a knowing that something there. So years have passed, and I've always looked into things like from Graham Hancock, anything to do with Atlantis drew me to it, anything for ancient cultures, civilizations, and wanting to know more, feeling like the narrative that the history books had said didn't sit well with what my heart was saying. There's more to this. And now we know, science has found, I mean, subsequently since then, they've undiscovered if I'm pronouncing this right, in Turkey, bibliothek. No, I'm not even going to pronounce it right, so I'm not even going to go there and mush it up. But there's an ancient site in Turkey that's much, much older, that was deliberately buried. I think this, as opposed to Stonehenge being, and don't quote me on the timing, but 8,000 years old, there's older sites that are 12,000 years old, so much older sites. Or 4,000 years old for Stonehenge and 8,000 years old for this site. So it pushes civilization and history and that understanding narrative further back, which is what a lot of the work's been saying, or the current scholars were saying and arguing to the point. There was more evidence coming up, and there's certainly lots of evidence in the actual physical of flood scenarios, and in mythological as well. But going from and drawing from my knowledge and what I'm pulling personally from the Akashic, this was, and this is how it relates to the path of the I Am, this was personally for me a connection and a drawing to anything related to Atlantis. And hence Matis de Stefano remembers his life in Atlantis. And when you Google him, and I highly recommend you look at his stuff. If you're familiar with him from, you may be familiar with him from Gaia, from the series of Initiation, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a series on there that he did about stuff. I've not actually watched that. I have watched some of his lectures that are in English. And so therefore I was drawn to him, and it was just around the time he was talking about this Path of the I Am project. And I'd randomly caught, because I'd been listening to these lectures that he'd given that were in English, I'd randomly caught the talk. And then I was listening to him talking, and he was talking about this project of consciousness. And there was something in me as like, this, whatever it is, to the point where I was actually going to email this associate, find out where I needed to email to say, how can I help? How can I get involved? What can I do? And then he started doing these daily posts on Instagram. So I'm going to show you, not Instagram, on this site. And this is the yosoli.red. So if I share my monitor with you, let's go back to here. And we go up to Yosoli. So yosoli.red is the, I don't know if you can see without this bit. You're probably just seeing that too, but let's make that big for the moment. So hopefully you can see what I'm seeing on my screen. Not too messy, I'm afraid. Let's minimize those. Okay, so this is your Sole dot red. So if you type that in, this is where what Matthias refers to in the videos as the blog. And when you go to the site, it will be in Spanish. So there's this little bit here that says choose language that you can click on, and you can choose the language that you want. Obviously, I'm speaking in English, so you guys will probably want it in English, but if this is your second language and you want a different language, there it is, the language there. On the phone, if you're viewing on your phone, you need to scroll down right to the bottom to find that. I find that sometimes it comes up with a side square and you kind of have to click one up because it shows this side but not that side. So just for those that are wanting to do that. And if you go to, and this is where we are now, the beginning, if you click on, where is it actually? Me and my. It says all about, and I won't read through this, so I'll let, if there's something that interests you, you can go through, and it's got from where we started the path, which I think the first post listed, is it down the bottom? Yeah, in August last year, in 2020. So there is a post that explains about the days out of time and how we can, or why we are working with the ancient Atlantean calendar, and the difference between that and the current, what we call the Gregorian calendar, which is what your normal everyday calendar that you may be aware of, that we follow. What we were working with is the cosmic calendar. So if you're familiar with astrology, you're probably a bit more aware of this. Astrology to me is a relatively new thing. Over the last few years, I've been learning more and more, and definitely this year in how we utilize the cosmic archetypes of energy. But if you think of the Earth has an axis, its poles, north and south, just like we have a north and south and our own magnetic field like the Earth, as having a core of iron, which the Earth has. Our blood has iron again, and we are electrical, just like everything is electrical and energy. So that pole of the Earth goes round, which is what we call precession, because it's not particularly straight, it goes at an angle because of the pull and the gravitational pull of the planets and where it is in relation to the sun and the heaviness and density, but I won't go into that in this blog. However, so that precession, it takes, I think if I'm remembering rightly, it's 25 or 26,000 years for that to happen. Don't quote me on the actual number. I can look it up for you. I'm still learning. I'm not got the Virgo of remembering those figures and axis, but I do remember the why. And we are now in a time that is directly opposite. So the polar star that was here in the time when the Atlanteans were at their height is directly opposite where we are now in the time of the ending of the time of Pisces and moving into the time of Aquarius. So in a sense, we are mirroring the lessons that they energetically were going through, and we can learn, which is why lots of us are drawn to this and remembering this time, from what the things they did and how it didn't work and how it could work for us better, and learning from our past. And I just want to go into, because this post was meant to be about the I am and my path, and I've told you a little bit of a background, but the other piece to my puzzle was, and this is a deep thank you, because I'd started to do this around the same time. Lee Harris had spoke about dialoguing with the self through journaling, And I'm going to come out of this. Let's go back to me. Sorry, got me back. Oh, I will go back there in a minute. So the dialoguing of writing, what does soul want me to know today? Or asking a question, posing a question and answering from a heart-centered space. And so as this is also a how-to, how do you do that in your life? How can you utilize this in your life? And as Lee had said, he said, ask the question with a pen, sit there with your journal and write, or on your phone and text, or however you feel comfortable. There's no wrong or right way to anything. And that goes for whatever resonates with you, take on board. I share my story to express these emotions and these feelings and this connection, and from my excitement of remembering all this stuff and how it's relating to my life and how it helps me, in the hopes that it would help you and inspire you in your own life, what you may be going through. I don't expect you to say, well, that's fact, because it's all perception, which is why I said in the beginning, as a young girl, when I saw those first images of her drowning and then saying, this is not for you, you can let go, our paths are different. Incidentally, and I will add, spoiler here, she did not drown. I didn't realise this until later in my life, when I was shown another image, because it wasn't relevant for me to know, of her being pulled out of the water and pulled onto a boat. So there's a certain understanding of, we are given information of whatever we are ready for, what's ever relevant to ourselves in our life, and things come to us when we're ready or when we are looking. There's that saying, isn't there? The master will appear when the student is ready. And always important to know that the student can also be the master, that we all are one and the same. We all have wisdom within, and we can all access this. So this is what this is, the I am, the dialogue. If you look at the blogs that Matthias has, he dialogues with. If you follow with any of the people, if you're following me, you're probably following similar people to myself, of those like Abraham Hicks from the Law of Attraction, and Lee Harris, other energy workers or other people that are about having an understanding that our reality we create. It doesn't just happen. There are certain things you can learn to flow with when you have an understanding of how you think is receiving and forms your heart. Your emotions are like a dial that you tune, you set a radio station that you set to tune what you want to experience. Now, that doesn't mean that nothing, that you won't have bad stuff happen, but what it does mean is that you learn to navigate around them and experience them how you want to, how you choose. You have free will to choose, and to choose to live your life through love over fear, to walk with love over fear in your own access. And knowing thyself, truly knowing thyself, is really, really important to understanding how you are experiencing certain things that you may have blocks with and resistance with. And that's what I enjoy, working with that path for myself and sharing that journey with others. And through my blog, I'm going to be sharing, or let me know actually if you want me to share more, but elaborating on more of what I've done in the past year of the self-work, the self-development for this journey of the I am, how it has helped me understand myself more, to be in a more anchored, grounded place of love and compassion, and having a process. This is one process. There are many processes that people have. It's not this one's the only one, this is the thing. It doesn't work that way. It's whatever resonates with you and whatever works. And I hope that these subsequent blogs will do that, as well as allow me to share my story about my past life memories and experiences, how they relate and how they've helped me in what's been happening globally, as well as personally. And as I said, this connection relates solely to the young lady who I've given a name that I will eventually share with you. At the moment, it's still been told to keep it for me as I learn to dialogue with the above. But I suggest that you just take time, and we will in this now moment, to have. Just breathe. And observe your thoughts and your feelings. Are you thinking, that's my way, I'm not sure about that, or totally disagree with that? Also, if anything I say brings up resistance, always, or anything anyone ever says triggers you, always something to learn and to know. So always ask yourself, what is it about this? Why am I being triggered? Dialogue with yourself. Do it in paper if it helps. If you just want to sit with it and meditate with it, however is right for you. And breathe into that. And we will start with, as I said, how it first come to me. I will share it, how it first come to you, from Wayne Dyer. I am that I am. I am ... that I am. I am love. That I am. Love I am. I am love. Love I am. You are love. Love you are. We are love. Love we are. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Please like and share with anyone that you think would benefit or find this interesting. Hit the subscribe button at the top for my meditations, which are free every Monday. And if you are interested in doing some Qigong with me, as I'm training to do Qigong to add to my moon ceremonies and what I can offer with the art therapy, then please join me for some intention setting every Friday now. You can book that on Eventbrite along with all my other bits and pieces. Check me out and look me up on Insta and Facebook, and Love Authentic Me or Treza Jande on Instagram. Thank you for your time. Have a fabulous day, and Transformational Tuesday today, I always call it. So I figured that this has been pretty transformational, my journey, that I wanted to share with you guys. So have a wonderful, wonderful day.